Hey everybody, what is going on? So this is a bit of a different format for some of my videos, well, all my videos. It's because I'm here with an awesome guest. This is Bree Klauser. She is a visually impaired actress. We're going to be talking about stuff that deals with disability and blindness and the entertainment industry a little bit. So
Yay.
before I get to any of that, I'm gonna let Bree introduce herself because I keep interrupting her all of a sudden. So Bree, go ahead.
Hey, I wasn't saying a word. You were interrupting me. I'm usually the person who's interrupting people. But hi, my name is Bree. I am an actor, singer, entertainer who is usually located in New York. Right now, I'm in lovely Vancouver on a new series that I basically booked my first TV/new media role, and it has largely to do with my visual impairment. There's something about this show that has to do with visual impairment, and I can't really say how, but it's a new series called See, starring Jason Momoa and Alfre Woodard. Before this, I've studied. I went to Brooklyn College for a theater. I had a music project for a while. I worked as a singer, songwriter, front woman. A project called Bree into Whatever's. We'll link my music video on YouTube later. But I am very grateful to, in the next year when this show comes out, be representing low vision, visually impaired people on TV.
She's told me a few details about the show as well. So basically, what you know, and now I'm interested. So it's kind of nice to see, another media project that's going to be out there that's not called Bird Box that is going to deal with actual visual impairment. We're going to get to a few questions that we want to talk about. And let me just cut to the chase here. Do you think the media has a responsibility to portray disability more accurately, since most people get their education about disability from films and TV shows?
Absolutely. I think the media has a responsibility to portray disability accurately now more than ever, because we are fortunate enough to live in an age where people are finally seeing themselves on TV. People of color, people of LGBT community, people of different size and shape. An artistic director of a theater company I work for, called Theater Breaking Through Barriers, he once told me that disability is the one minority group that anyone can become a part of at any time in their life. You can be completely able-bodied and then lose your sight or lose a limb. And, being that it's the largest minority group in the world, arguably, it really does deserve larger representation. And I'm very grateful to be working on this project because I think it is going to change the image of blindness on screen.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean,
Shatter perception.
it's interesting though that you mentioned that it is the biggest minority group, but at the same time, though, there's like this huge disconnect, even though there's so many people with a disability. Okay, so let's move on to question number two, actually. Question number two, do you feel like you get treated differently on set or offset by people when you have anything that identifies your eye condition, like your ID cane?
Well, I sometimes use the red and white cane, the guide cane, but I use it as an identifier, and I only use it in a situation like if I'm at an airport. I brought it to auditions for when I'm going for blind characters, just so that they know, because they might not get it right away that I'm visually impaired. On set, I don't use it for, and I haven't used it for this show. I'm in a very fortunate situation where I don't have to explain myself because it's kind of known on this project. This project has been so grateful to have someone who can assist me. Like the other day we were doing a stunt rehearsal and it was really sunny, which is weird because it's never sunny in Vancouver. It was really sunny and we were about to go in the water and I was just like, hey, I didn't bring sunglasses today because I borrowed a pair of sunglasses before we go out in the water. What I'm working on right now is a very high risk project as far as the terrain we're on and everything. We have stunt actors and stunt people to help everyone. I think my safety is just as important as anyone else's on set, but I think at the same time nobody wants bad press.
Right.
Blind actor gets hurt. Yeah. So yes, I feel like there is an extra layer of caution. If someone else were to trip, they would be like, okay, whatever. But like, I don't know. I feel like if I were to trip, then I would have like 3 stunned people guide me, and I'd be like, really, guys, I'm okay. I'm just clumsy. It's not because I'm blind. I've also been on other sets for smaller projects and smaller roles, like background and stuff, where I don't bring it up at all about my visual impairment. If I have trouble seeing something, I'll just say, hey, I don't see. I often have to downplay things for people in the industry, like just like, oh, I have shitty eyesight, or oh, I'm a little nearsighted, or oh, I didn't bring my glasses today. Can you tell me what that says? Oh, can you help me find my mark and everything?
Yeah, because as soon as someone hears blind, they think like, you can't see anything.
I used to work at a nonprofit organization called Visionary Media that worked with blind and visually impaired musicians. So that was like a real eye-opening thing and really encouraging to be more vocal about my disability because I was surrounded by very talented and capable people. And I also worked with a theater company called Theater Breaking Barriers, which works with actors of varying disabilities who are also, talented and capable. So I'm no longer ashamed. More than often, it will come up when necessary. I won't make excuses or hide it. And I think the thing that comes up the most is my nystagmus. I think that's the newest hurdle I'm trying to come to grips with.
Yeah. Why is that though?
Well, I mean, people are always asking like, oh, how does that translate on camera? And some people are myopic, for a better sense of a word, and they don't have an idea of like a character who could be like that. Like that could just be a quirk of a character, that they have eyes that move around a little bit. When being open with it, I've even had like industry like helping with tricks and stuff. Like I'm learning to use my like everyone has like a centering point in their head if you have a nystagmus. So I kind of like tilt to the left a little bit. Like I'll watch this video later and see if it actually helps if I'll stabilize my eyes.
Question number 3, if you were to write a blind character, how would you go about it?
First of all, I guess I have two answers for that question.
Okay.
The first answer is I wouldn't write a blind character. I would write a character, and then if there happened to be a blind or visually impaired person who did that role well, I would put them in it. In an ideal world, people with disabilities would be playing roles in stories that go beyond disability. I wouldn't just see them in a role and it's like the story is about blindness or being in a wheelchair or whatever.
Yeah, I get the reason why I bring this topic up is because I recently finished reading Run by Cody Keplinger, and that happened to have a legally blind character, but the focus was not on the character's disability.
That's perfect. I love that.
Well, one character is part of the LGBT community, the other one is disabled, but the story does not focus on either of those two. The characters just happen to be, part of those communities.
I remember seeing a really good episode of Doctor Who in season. I think it was the season before last. Jodie Whittaker's great, but I have problems with the new writing. But in one of the Peter Capaldi episodes, and there's a story where there was like a woman scientist who was played by a little person, and they didn't say anything. There wasn't a single part of the story that mentioned that she was a little person. She was just a character in the story who had a function. She had, she's 3-dimensional. She had wants and needs, and she served this purpose with the doctor and everything. And, it was great.
And I think that's key what you said. It has to be a 3-dimensional person because, every character is going to have, they have to be as human as possible.
It's so funny because I mentioned Doctor Who, because in this season they actually had a character who was blind. I don't know if you knew about that.
Interesting.
The young blind actress. Because the episode was not very well reviewed, people were panning her work. I was hearing this interview with people talking about the episode, and it infuriated me. I'm not usually one to like get in and just like with the comments and be like, but like,
what was it that they were saying?
Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So these people reviewing her in the episode were basically like, Well, it's not her fault. Like, if you have a disability, you should know your limitations, and that, I can't. This person was like, well, because I have a, I'm not strong enough. I can't be an astronaut. So if you can't do this, you can't be an actor. Regardless of how you feel about how she did in the role, it has nothing to do with her blindness. And thank you for making this terrible blanket statement saying that people with disabilities can't act. And I was like, and by the way, I'm a legally blind actress, that wing.
Yeah, because I mean, it makes it seem like because you have a disability, it makes you like incapable of something, or it's like you lower the bar for someone, and that's pretty messed up. You can't put a blanket statement for everyone. It's like
She should be judged for her capability just as much as anyone else.
I mean, like you were saying about the just blaming the actor for it. It's like, well, if you're given a bad script, then it's like you can only do so much as an actor with it. It's
Exactly. But no, they did pander to blindness, and they were like, Hannah, are you blind? And I was just like, you were doing so good a season before. I mean, even if you can tell she's blind on camera, just like allow the visual storytelling to do that. We don't need like this pandering exposition.
Question number 4. Should disabled actors get looked at first when auditioning for disabled roles?
I think they should be looked at alongside
Right.
able-bodied actors. The idea is you want to pool as much talent as you can find. If you have the chance to cast a person with disability in a role that happens to be disabled, then you get that extra layer of truth that you might not have if you just cast a big name. Although, we have to understand as disabled artists that at the end of the day, the business is a business. It's not the same as, say, certain companies have diversity quotas they have to fill. Considering that this is an industry and we do need to, like the theater, get butts and seats. We need to get people to watch the show, so they're going to want to watch some recognizable names. And until we have like this super well-known blind actor that you can attach to a project and say, oh, okay, we can put them in the number one spot of the show. Until we have that, we have to, us and as disabled actors, have to prove that we are ready and willing to work and, set ready and trustworthy.
Unless there's like this really like a popular disabled actor, they won't be, they don't have that star power to drive a series or movie. But at the same time, it's a bit of a catch-22 because it's like, how exactly do you get known even though you're not considered for those roles because you're disabled? So it's an odd catch-22 in a way.
I mean, you work your way up with smaller roles and you build a reputation. At the same time, we don't want to only be playing disabled roles. I would love to play in theater and stuff. I've only played able-bodied person. I was talking to a friend of mine who was also on the show, and she has now played a number of blind roles, and now she's getting to the point where she's like, okay, I want to be seen for sighted roles. Even though she's getting these great roles on great shows, she wants to be seen as an actress, not just a visually impaired actress. If they really, really tried and they found maybe a lot of great blind actors or a lot of great deaf actors or whatever the role requires, if they can really, really make a case that they just couldn't find the right person for the role, but they found someone who doesn't have a disability, who is playing it respectfully, you can offer that respectfully, then that's okay.
And I think that goes back to the first question of does the media have responsibility to portray disability accurately? So that kind of
and same goes for able-bodied actors playing disabled roles. They have a responsibility to portray those accurately.
Yeah, so what we're trying to say is that we're not against the able-bodied actors playing disabled roles. We're just saying that they have to be, like Bree said, respectful, because I mean, you're playing something that you're not. So if you can at least show some respect, because like I said in the first question, most people are going to get their education about disability from the media, from what they see on TV. They're not going to read like the latest newsletter from this organization to understand this disability. They're going to watch what they see in their, whatever show. And if it's portrayed in a bad way, then when it goes to a real world situation,
if anything, just like avoid the stereotypes. Like,
yeah.
Really do your research. Really do, if you're going to play someone with disability. Many people argue that it is an actor's job to transform and, embody many things. But I think first and foremost, an actor's job is to tell the truest story they can.
What do you think about these YouTube challenges that have people being blindfolded or wearing headphones so they don't hear anything? Do they actually help bring awareness to a disability? Like
we started talking about that with the Bird Box thing.
Yeah, but I mean, but also stuff like the whisper challenge. How people like cover themselves up with earphones and try to like lip read, and does that actually bring awareness to like the deaf community, anything like that, or?
No, because I mean, unless they're relating that experience to an actual deaf person or an actual blind person or whatever, okay, people doing ridiculous things on video to raise awareness, like the ice bucket challenge. They would that was raising money for
ALS.
ALS.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like people were doing something like a ridiculous thing for a cause. Now people were doing this challenge and then using it to fund research to cure Stargardts or different forms of blindness or congenital glaucoma, different diseases. And maybe then you would say, okay, I'm doing this in honor of the blind community or the disabled community.
Even with the ice bucket challenge, I don't think a lot of people, I think people just did it because they were tagged or whatever or challenged, and I don't think a lot of people, there was a lot of awareness of ALS being brought up in the first place.
No, but at least there was a good intention attached to it. There was a purpose.
But
if you're gonna put yourself through senseless harm, at least do it for some good cause.
I even recently read 2 articles of people crashing their cars because they were blindfolded and driving. I'm like, dude, this is no, you don't do that. You cannot.
It's a movie.
Movie, yeah.
You think these people actually did this on set? Like they actually drove a car with a blindfold? Fuck no. They wouldn't let Sandra Bullock or they wouldn't let a high-profile actor put themselves in that much risk.
Yeah.
They're acting. You talked about in your video, oh, well, that's what it's like to be blind, I guess. But, as my good friend Casey Greer said in one of her videos, who's a great YouTuber, you should go check her out as well. Something like 90% of people who identify as legally blind aren't lights out blind. So no, putting a sleep shade on is not oh, now I understand the blind experience. Go watch a movie or a TV show that accurately depicts blindness. And I'm glad that more of that is going to be coming out.
That's a good way to transition to say well, go check out C when it does come out.
When it comes out, you can look it up on IMDb. You can also stay in touch. Follow my website, breeklauser.com. Follow me on Instagram. That's what I'm mostly on. I also make music. Something that I was doing for a while, so check out Bree and the Whatevers. I have a original music video from an original song called Homewrecker. It's on YouTube, which I'm sure Juan will link
I'll
in
link
this end.
I'll leave links to that in the description below, and just want to say thank you, Bree. I know we said we didn't want to make this too long, but I guess we did. There's a lot to talk about. Maybe my questions were a little too broad.
No, I think I can't help but ramble. Thank you. It's been such a privilege to do this interview with you and to relate to someone on the varying blind experience. And hopefully we can do this again. Hopefully I can get back to San Francisco someday because I love San Francisco. And hopefully I'll see you in New York sometime.
Yeah, really. So we gotta meet up if the occasion ever comes up.
Let's say goodbye to the viewers.
Okay. All right.
Bye,
Bye.
viewers.
See you guys next time.
See you next time.